What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm also a certified empowerment coach and president of the Express Your Vibe coaching and communications company. And the champ is not with us anymore, but he's with us in mind, body, and soul. And I'm very happy and very blessed and highly favored to have Big Brother Ray with us. I have not seen him for a while. He always has so many things going on. Even up tonight, it's his wife's birthday, and he's coming on the show, on the conversation. So I am very happy to have him on. Ray, how are you doing this evening, man?
Oh, I'm blessed, man. And again, Dr. Vibe, always a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, you know what? It's our show. It's not just me. It's our show. And I want to give you some thoughtful and kind words. I really appreciate what you're doing for your community. I really appreciate that. That it takes a big heart, and I know you have a big heart. It takes a lot of time, but I just want to appreciate you publicly in what you're doing for your community. And thank you so much for all you do and what you're going to be doing.
Well, thank you, Dr. Vibe, and right back at you with your leadership. And I think one of the big things about this journey is that it is about how we move forward together.
Yep.
And the lessons we can learn. And that's why in the time I'm with you today, I wanted to share my reflections, because the legacy of the greatest impacts every level of life. So and from being a child in North Philadelphia, so he crossed so many barriers and paved the way in so many ways. So I wanted to just share a few reflections with our audience today on that.
Well, wonderful. And you know what? The platform is yours. Just start. Tell us. I didn't know you. And there's this Philadelphia connection. I've met so many people online from Philly or live in Philly. And you're another one. It's just like Philadelphia's my second home, man.
We get around. Well, we love to have you here. There's no doubt about that. But no, let me give people that I know a good friend, Tachi, as well, as part of our audience. And there's others who I don't know, but I'm looking forward to get to know, like Candy and other folks that are on here today. Well, let me give you a little perspective. So a couple of things you should know about me and how I kind of connect with this conversation is that one is that I grew up in North Philadelphia, and my father, I'm Puerto Rican. My dad was kind of part of the first generation of, urban Latinos in Philly. He was part of a small group of guys and gals that were English-speaking Latinos in a relatively small community that were connected in so many ways to the Black experience. And to the point where my father ended up on Black radio and did R&B radio for many years in Philadelphia. If you know Dr. Vibe, people like in the historical figures of Black radio, like Jocko Henderson and Georgie Woods, those were my dad's heroes and mentors. And one day I'll get him on here so we can talk about some of that history at the Uptown Theater and meeting every R&B star of the 60s and 70s as a teenager, basically, and all that history. So I say that to say that the icons of really all Americans, but particularly in Black America, like Muhammad Ali, like our civil rights champions, like Richard Pryor, like Sidney Poitier, like Bill Cosby, like go on and on and on, were the people that my dad idolized and looked up to and gave me and shared with me a lot of their Kenny Gamble, who he knew and still knows. So I say that to say that these conversations about Cassius Clay transitioning to Muhammad Ali and what that meant for not only politics but sports, being Puerto Ricans, boxing is a big part of our sporting culture, was just always top of mind. And so the part of the story is that as a child from North Philadelphia, I grew up about 1.5 miles from Joe Frazier's gym. So
What?
yeah, so drove by it pretty much every day of my life. And 5 or 6 times as a child, my dad would figure out some excuse for us to go to the gym. And there were times where I had two sit downs I can recall where I sat down with as part of a group of people, I think, and just shot the stuff. Joe Frazier, Marvis Frazier, his son, who fought for the heavyweight title. And so from a sports perspective, hearing literally Joe Frazier's perspective on Muhammad Ali, and while he had nothing personally against the man, Muhammad, he was one of his foils, right? So I mean, there was a bitterness for many years over that, and him feeling that Muhammad sort of used him and pigeonholed him as the white man's champion when he was just basically a regular guy that was trying to do the right thing and was just a great fighter. He just happened not to have the elocution of Muhammad Ali. So it's a great story on many levels, and there's two or three things I wanted to say. One is that I think from a purely historical perspective, I think that it's been interesting in the coverage how the level of vitriol and hatred that he experienced by much of white America just sort of gets sanitized. It's yes, he was hated, and so it's just very interesting that we just can't underestimate how controversial he was. I mean, you can imagine in 2016 if the equivalent being someone like a LeBron James came out and joined the Nation of Islam and espoused, cutting edge statements on race and other political issues, how controversial that would be. So imagine 50 years ago. So I think we just have to sort of acknowledge, when you're saying he had guts, I mean, the context was unbelievable. So, that's where we'll start. There's lots to it, of course, but I wanted to give people an understanding of the context of where he meant in my life, which was immense.
There's so many different avenues we can go on with
Absolutely.
this. One of them, and you mentioned about athletes. Do you ever think we'll see the scope of image of an athlete like him again?
Well, the older I get, Dr. Vibe, it's interesting because one of the things that which is a positive thing, but one of the things that I am growing to understand is that term, when they say you're a kid, that person's a once in a lifetime figure, that person's a once in a lifetime talent. The more and more I feel like it's true, because it just seems unlikely that the circumstances would, and the right combination of the right person at the right time historically would match that kind of impact. I would say though that it's and I think to his credit, even though he's had other issues related to how he's treated women over the years, well, in his younger years, Jim Brown really has been the one that said it best over the last 30, 40 years, in that when you reach prominence, we underestimate the power that we have. And while not everyone's a political leader, and athletes, just because they're athletes and famous and have money, shouldn't be expected to be Muhammad Ali. But I definitely think there is a level of accountability to celebrities from our communities and them using that platform to say what needs to be said. I go back to and this is kind of the other theme I wanted to share with people, that the Latino athletic community had a unique opportunity in 2010, if you recall. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game was being held in Arizona, and I always forget the number 187, which was that anti-immigrant state law that was passed, which eventually got overturned by the leadership of Eric Holder and Thomas Perez at U.S. Attorney's Office and Department of Justice, and eventually in the Supreme Court. There was a window of opportunity where the Latino athletes, which are about a third of the game and probably about half the stars, could have boycotted that All-Star game and really made an incredible statement. And, one of the Mexican guys, Adrian Gonzalez, hinted that was something maybe we should do. And then basically, nobody went with it. So that was an opportunity where we really could have, from a Latino perspective, sort of stood up and made an incredibly powerful statement, because you literally can't have the game if the Latinos don't show up.
Exactly.
So that's a place where we're underestimating our power. Even if they had really threatened it and it really had maybe seemed real, what could have happened, right? So, I think that's the other big lesson for me is that not only athletes, but all of us are just underestimate the power that we have.
And it's an interesting point you want to put in another avenue you can go on. Look at how committed he was at his young age. Like, people don't realize it. This man in his 20s not only was fighting in the ring, but he was fighting the American government in his early 20s. Like that, and it's probably a little bit easier to fight the American government now at an age compared to back then. And I look at that and I go, and he was so steadfast in his conviction. Like, it still amazes me how committed he was to what he was doing, but it's just at such a young age. That's what just blows my mind, because you hear him speak and you're going, that guy doesn't sound like he's in his early 20s.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because when he passed away, I was like, wow, I thought he was much older. Just is that he literally has been not only a global celebrity. I mean, he won the gold medal in 60. He's 18. Yeah. He was a global celebrity for almost 50 years. Global, not just like a U.S. celebrity, global celebrity. Yeah. And from a sports perspective, I think for the younger generation, it's hard for them to understand. In those days, the two biggest stars in American sports were the heavyweight champion and whoever was center field for the Yankees. I mean, literally, it was like Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, and whoever was the heavyweight champion, Joe Louis, whomever it was. So for him to be essentially like Cam Newton, LeBron James, I mean, that's really the level you're talking about of celebrity. Absolutely. But even bigger, because boxing was even more global, if people can imagine. For him to, like you said, this is like in the midst of the civil rights movement, in the midst, like almost like kind of pre or like right as the Black Power movement was fomenting. I mean, look, the reality is very few African American leaders publicly embrace the Nation of Islam today. Imagine 50 years ago. So, I mean, this was in an era when saying, as a black man, to say I'm pretty was an incredible political statement. I mean, for a black male to say, I'm handsome, I look good, and I'm proud of being a black person. Yeah, I'm the great. I mean, that alone changed the country.
And it's interesting. I was listening to a commentator today say, isn't it interesting that his ideas were termed by many so radical at that time, but other leaders who wanted progressive thoughts or movements in the United States at that time, who they had ideas maybe not presented as radically or as out there, and I'm not meaning out there in a bad way, but he was really forceful with it. People like Martin Luther King, assassinated. People like Malcolm X, assassinated. Bobby Kennedy, assassinated.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali still lived through all of that.
Yeah, the and I don't know what sort of what I think on some level is related to that idea that he sort of even transcended, sort of the dynamics of American culture, was this global, I mean, truly this global figure. And not to say that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King weren't, or RFK, but I mean, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Dr. Vibe, is that, I mean, you could argue, I mean, obviously, there's historical figures like Marcus Garvey, but you could argue Muhammad Ali brought Pan-African consciousness to the world as a practicing Muslim, and how he reached out to Africa. I mean, black athletes and black celebrities didn't go to Africa in the 50s and 60s. I mean, he and I think he brought a step, particularly for Africans, to have an appreciation of the Black community in the U.S. that I don't know if anyone ever did, frankly, in that way.
And you know what? Incredible too. While advancing his thoughts, he had a great relationship with the media. Right?
And on a personal level, he had a great relationship with everybody, including all kind of white people.
That's you know, you know what I mean? There was he had something.
Yeah.
You know, because you look at media back in those days, you have this young gentleman, not for the war, practicing Muslim, but he had a great relationship with so many people. It's interesting. I was watching an old, 60 Minutes this weekend, and they showed an interview with him, Ed Bradley, who I love. I'm a huge
another Philly guy that worked at my dad's radio station, WDAS. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and even in advanced age, he would still take the time to greet everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, his wife said it's all about love, and like it was just phenomenal. It was just, I mean, we really lost someone that I don't know if I'll see in my time again. I don't. Yeah. I doubt it. I doubt it.
Something, yeah.
You know, and you made a very good point. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. When you said the name, so many people around the world knew or they acknowledged that name.
That's right.
That's huge.
It's you know, as we're talking, it's just there's so many angles to this to come to mind. First of all, going back to my roots, there was a time, I think it was in the 70s, during his exile period, I think primarily. So we're talking late 60s, late 70s, where Muhammad Ali lived in the Philadelphia area. He lived in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And wow. And so it's been very interesting over the last 3-4 days since his passing, listening to radio in Philadelphia, sports talk radio, and basically baby boomer white people pretty much that ran it, that had a chance to meet him as a child or a teenager or as a young adult 40 years ago. I mean, people crying because of the impact he had. I mean, it was one of these things where people literally, neighborhood kids would knock on his door and he'd invite him in and he'd order him pizza, and these are all
you're kidding.
White kids, during this time period, just he's supposed to be the divisive figure. And it's just on and on and on. These stories are incredible. The other thing I wanted to share with you was, which is a neat story on many levels, but in 2000, I had the opportunity not only to meet Muhammad Ali, Dr. Vibe, but meet him in the White House. Could you imagine?
Talk to me about that story. No, you can't just drop that and say.
I'm going to tell it. I've been dying to tell it. So in 2000,
good.
I was working with. This is literally like the last month of the Clinton administration, so it's like early January of 2000. So Bill Clinton's gonna be in office 3 more weeks at this point, and that was the day that Muhammad Ali received the Presidential Citizenship Medal. He received from the second Bush the Medal of Freedom, I believe. But so yep. I'm there. My supervisor, my boss at the time, is a Hispanic, still a Latino civil rights icon named Dr. Juan Andrade, who's based out of Chicago. He's one of the people getting the award that day. And so not knowing too much about the honoree, what's happening, I was kind of like the last one put on the list. I end up in the White House getting ready for my boss to get this award. So they announced to the gallery in the East Wing, where they have those dinners, the presidential dinners for the dignitaries and stuff. They said, can all the honorees line up alphabetically in the perimeter of the room with your families and friends, and then the president will walk in and shake everybody's hand. So my boss's last name is Andrade with an A. The first three people, Dr. Vibe, in the corner, right, is first of all Hank Aaron, Muhammad Ali, and Juan Andrade. So I'm literally standing. I mean, it's surreal thinking about it. So for a good 10 minutes, I'm standing with Muhammad Ali and Hank Aaron and 5 or 6 other people. His wife, the famous photographer, I forget his name, his homie that is always with him, his handler.
Yep.
Hank Aaron's family, the people I'm with, and they're chatting away, and we're taking pictures, and it's just incredible. And then all of a sudden, without fanfare, without being announced, Bill Clinton walks into the room, cool as a cucumber. He's whistling. That's how cool this guy is. And so it was really it was an amazing moment, right? I mean, to be around these iconic people, but in a very small room, in a cocktail reception, basically. It's so the juxtaposition of how Bill Clinton related to Hank Aaron versus Muhammad Ali. So first of all, you could tell they have a personal relationship. He loves Hank Aaron. They're friends. I mean, you just got that energy. So he gives him a bro hug, and there's a certain level of friendliness and friendship that comes out of the interaction. Muhammad Ali was very different. It was almost like the tables are turned, because this is one of the few times in Bill Clinton's life since he's become president and ever since where he's not the biggest star in the room. So, right. So the how he, and now part of it's Muhammad Ali's physical health at that point and the way he's interacting, right? But he was very tender with him. It wasn't like a bro thing. It was like, okay, Hank's my man, and you're Muhammad Ali. So just the body language, the interaction between. I mean, how many times do legends like on that global historic level even see each other socially, right? I mean, there's only like 8 of them in the world. It's those 2, Oprah, who else, right? 3 of Bill Gates, maybe. I mean, there's very few people on that level, right? So, just an incredible moment. And the other thing about meeting him, which was amazing, was that, I mean, he was great, but that how his primary focus during the 30, 40 minutes where I was near him was the children that were present. He wanted to laugh with the children, giggle with the children, the corny little magic tricks he used to do. That's what he did. His focus was the children. It wasn't the adults. His focus was the children that were present. The smaller, the better. And it was just magical. I mean, there was a lot of great moments that day. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor was there. A myriad of political figures and civil rights leaders from yesteryear, but Bill Clinton, right? But special stuff, man. These people, Muhammad, and the thing is, everyone's got a story like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really get how much he loved children.
Yeah.
He really, really loved children. That was part of his heart and his core message. And I remember I saw a video of this many years ago where on the Arsenio Hall show, he was on, Mike Tyson was on, and Sugar Ray Leonard was on.
Oh, yeah, that clip is cool, isn't it? I've seen it on YouTube the last few weeks. Yeah.
And I'm just going, I just mean, like, my gosh, what impact do you feel he has for the Latino community? Because have other members of the community expressed their thoughts? And
what's been interesting, the first thing I would say is that Muhammad just was above all of it. It's just incredible how consistent. I think for a certain generation of African Americans, it's a deeper thing. But I think overall, it's been amazing how, I think particularly for the younger generation, never saw a fight or anything, how he just was universally beloved and respected. I think for the Latino community, I think part of it's generational, so people like my dad and people that kind of remember him fighting and kind of remember the context of his activism in that era. It's a real deep connection. And there's but I mean, he was out. I mean, and when you combine that with the boxing piece, I mean, it being such a big part of our culture, our sporting culture, and male culture in the Latino community, so it just even draws us closer to him and his legacy. And I mean, I mean, he just was so prominent. There's a clip of, I kind of remember this as a small kid, but there's a clip, he touched so many people. So there's all over the weekend on my Facebook, there's a clip going around. He went to Puerto Rico in like the mid-70s. And he's on
You're kidding.
he's on like a comedy show. And he's basically letting this little roly-poly, what we call Puerto Rico's Jibaro, like a little country guy, clown him.
Yeah.
And, they're shadow boxing, and he's teasing him like, well, you think you're big time, but I'm big time. You're on my island kind of thing. And then for him to be the biggest star in the world, to allow himself to have the humility to let the little nothing comedian in Puerto Rico like play him on Spanish TV and him just roll with it and it'd be funny. And, it's just, and then when someone puts that on YouTube, like all these people who were like my mother's era, like Spanish speaking people, like, oh, I remember. And then all these stories about how he went all over the island and how, and, he liked Latin women. I mean, just the whole thing. Just he went around and he was great with everybody. So, just everybody loved him. You hear these stories again and again and again.
I don't want to keep you on too long because again, I know it's your wife's birthday. What legacy do you feel he leaves to us? What legacies? Because it's not just one.
No, I know.
What are some of the legacies that you feel the greatest has left with us to carry on?
I think there's so many little, it's interesting how we have to understand our history, because one of the things you were talking about, how he impacted people, watching the clips of him interacting with Howard Cosell was incredible, because I'm thinking about it. I said, in 2016, we have a presidential candidate that's demonizing all kind of people, but particularly Latinos and Muslims, particularly Muslims.
Yeah.
And 30, 40 years ago, when these communities to this day have, historical, bonds, but also plenty of tensions, right? Because of the global tensions surrounding the Middle East. And 35, 40 years ago, when that stuff was at its height, you think it's bad now. It's just as bad, if not worse then. This Black Muslim man created this rapport with this Jewish man, and how much they did for each other. And in a day when the Jewish community faced discrimination still in the 60s and 70s. And how we're dealing with this nonsense now. So it's just the historical parallels are really interesting. But I guess the biggest thing for me is, like I said earlier, I just think we have to remind ourselves that the immense personal power we have to impact lives as individuals. And I one of the things that I don't want to say it makes me sad, but one of the things that I greatly appreciate everyone's universal admiration of this man. Don't get me wrong. But I would say that I think the admiration comes from people not feeling they can impact people in that way. And look, most of us are not going to get the platform, and it's all not going to align to have that kind of potential global reach. But at the end of the day, I think we're underestimating our personal power. And it goes back to the conversation about celebrities and athletes. And, Jim Brown's right. There's plenty of things that, if certain monies were pulled and certain moves were made, that could be done by some of these folks that maybe are just kind of holding back because they're scared to lose a few sponsorship dollars. Well, there's bigger things, right? So I just think let's remember that we all have a little Muhammad Ali in us, and we can all impact people in incredible ways. That's the biggest thing for me.
I agree that everything matters. Doesn't matter how big or small. And if you don't think it matters, look at what Muhammad Ali gave up. I played a speech before a show I did last night about him, and he said that, and I trying to just paraphrase it, that he said either that he was going to be put in jail or something else, but he said there's another alternative. There's justice. That's right. And I think that's one of the things that he really stood on firm ground on, justice. That was very important to him, especially as he advanced in age, the importance of justice. And people were saying to him, he was saying, the media's give me a hard time because they think, boxing is, he said, boxing is different than going over to kill a Viet Cong person or in a war.
I'm gonna
said.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to let you go, Dr. Vibe, but I'll leave you with this: that from thinking about kind of taking this back to where with our modern politics. So you essentially have, for the most part, I mean, there's a few exceptions: the Bush family, Mitt Romney, and one or two other people. But you essentially have a national political party's leadership, whether it's Paul Ryan, go down the road, right? Who are essentially saying, because of their lack of leadership and their lack of vision and their lack of courage, that they would rather endorse basically their party moving to becoming a white nationalist party, political party. I mean, it's really what they're, by endorsing Trump, that's what you're saying you're okay with, because you don't want to lose an election. But what ultimately are they going to lose? They're going to lose much more than that. And we're going to lose much more than that. And the biggest thing they're going to lose is credibility by everybody by the time this is over. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Republican Party is going to go away, but my point is that in them thinking they're going to lose this thing and trying to hold on to this thing, they're losing so much more. And I think that by losing financial gain and, a few years of a boxing sports legacy, how much did Muhammad Ali gain and how much did we all gain by that? So that's
that's a very good. That's a very good thing.
At the end, it's about leadership. It's about courage. It's about doing the right thing, and it's just what a special guy. And Dr. Vibe, it was a blessing to have this conversation with you because I've been trying to carve out some time for the next few days to do something on Muhammad Ali myself, and I'll let you know if we do it on Black or what have you. But the sports talk stations only give 2 minutes, and I'm like, there's so much to say because this is much deeper than sports. Yeah, we got to go about the sports piece, and I enjoy, that part of it. But what a special man! What a special man! And I was blessed to be able to share a little bit with you, Dr. Vibe, and the rest of your audience. This was a lot of fun.
Well, again, thanks as always. Thanks for making the conversation better. Before you go, can you tell people how they can touch base with you?
Absolutely. Easiest way to get to me is just go to bigbrotherray.com, bigbrotherray.com. That's where we have all of our primarily podcast and video blog content. We do the podcast on the Blab platform. And next month or so, I'll be debuting some more products and services related to coaching services to help people build their brand. On social media, best way to have a conversation with me is on Twitter at Ray's Podcast. So RAYS Podcast. And I'm on Twitter day and night. Hopped on the Latino Rebels podcast, which I want to make sure you're connected to, Dr. Vibe. Last night, they do some real good political stuff. And they were talking about Ali, and, I had to jump on and say my piece on that,
And also, I'd love to get some input on, and here's a conversation piece, because there isn't a visible minority running for president, will the Latino and Black communities turn up at the voters'
Well,
booth?
that's a week of shows, Dr. Vibe. So you just set it up and we'll wrap, brother.
All right, my brother. All the best to you.
Love
to the family, and happy birthday to your dear wife. God bless.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. Big Brother Ray sharing some thoughts, a thumbnail of thoughts of his experience with Muhammad Ali, meeting and just the legacy left. I see plus, so you just put it here. And definitely follow him not only on Blab, but also follow him on Twitter. He is doing, and a number of people that he's aligned with are doing outstanding things online. So please check them out. They're really worth your time. They're worth the investment. Just want to shout out to @+_1_1. Thank you so much for coming on the conversation. I'm going to stop the recording here. I may start up again, but I just like to say, as always, I'm Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show. I like to say, as always, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. If you want to touch base with me, it's at DRVIBESHOW. Email address, dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. So I'm going to stop the recorded conversation right now. I may start it up again if some more people want to join in, but that's it for now. And you know what? We got the right person at the right time to express the right feelings about a right man. So as always, God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and catch you on the next conversation. Okay, we are back with more on the greatest, and I'm always humbled to have the big dreamer plus a guest on tonight about Muhammad. So, big dreamer, always a pleasure to have you on and sharing. What did Muhammad Ali mean to you? And take your time, man.
Oh man, Ali, listen, not just a boxer. Let me get into it straight. His organs failed him, right? But his heart kept going for a half hour.
Isn't that amazing?
Are you kidding me? That's why he was the greatest of all time. How people said they got heart. They ain't got no heart. That man stood up to the world. He stood up to America. He voiced his opinion. So many people are afraid to voice their opinion. Can you imagine when he refused to go to Vietnam because he stood up for his principle? He said, listen, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me the bleep bleep name.
Yep.
Right? How many people will stand up for what's right? That man was phenomenal, man. And his heart kept going for 30 minutes after his organ shut down. Come on. Yeah. That man was just, man, everyone loved him. People who didn't like Muslims loved him. People who didn't like black people loved him. People who didn't like Lucky Charms loved him. Ali, man, was just, he was a picture for human man, womankind. He was.
What sort of legacies do you feel he's left? What has he left in you?
Love, man. Love for everybody. Love for everybody, man. That dude loved people so much. He loved people when people talked bad about him. He loved them even more. My goodness. And he taught us about self-promoting. Like he said, I told myself I was the greatest even when I wasn't the greatest. Yeah. What life lesson is there for us about that? You know, you got to put yourself out there in the world, and that's what he did. No, he wasn't cocky. People say he was. No, he wasn't. He was telling himself, I'm the greatest, and he became the greatest. Listen, he used to go 15 rounds. People say it's 12. 12 rounds now is a lie. He went 15. 15 rounds. 12. People talk about they can't go 12. 15 rounds. And you watch some of his fights with George Foreman, Joe Frazier.
The last Joe Frazier fight, the Thriller in Manila.
Yeah.
That fight.
Exactly.
Like I remember specifically one specific moment in that fight where Ali hit him so hard his mouthpiece came flying out.
Yes. And the Thriller in Manila, oh my gosh. Woo, we can all learn from Muhammad Ali. What a great individual. He made the human race better. He made the whole world better.
Yeah.
You know, he did. He made the world a better place. And you know what? There's not a lot of boxers or athletes like him anymore. No,
hold on. There's not a lot of people that are like that.
There's not. I mean, there's people like Steph Curry, you know, who's the basketball player. He kisses his wife and daughter before every game, and after. The other day, he was kissing his little daughter probably about 50 times. That's a man of love, right? That's Ali, man. He taught us how to get knocked down, to get back up. He taught us to give ourselves personal development when no one else would give us personal development. He taught he's kind of like Bruce Lee. You know, now they're finding out Bruce Lee. You know, he taught basically what's it called? What's the fit thing where they jump over tires? They carry tires on their back. I forget what that's called, but gosh, it's a big thing. My CrossFit. He invented CrossFit. He invented what we see now as UFC fighting, the Ultimate Fighting Championships. He invented that. I mean, Ali did the same thing. They were both innovators. They were both lovers of mankind. Listen, Muhammad Ali did things like when there were hostages over in Iran. You know, he went over there on his own dime, did things to try to get them back.
Yep.
There's just not a lot of people like Ali. And, a lot of people loved him, and he knows that. He understands he had a lot of love. And, man, when they broke him out as a surprise in the Olympics, remember he ran the torch up? It was a surprise all the way all the way up until, oh my man, listen, he could have hated America. He could have hated America, but he didn't. He didn't. He spoke the truth. When he said no Viet Cong ain't never called Muhammad, Cassius Clay the N-word. No one. He stood up. He's a man of integrity, a man of character. And that's why everyone wanted to follow him.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes, man. He's one of my heroes,
How, and you do a lot of speaking engagements, and especially with young people. I'm sure that somewhere down the road, you're going to talk about the greatness of him to some of your young audiences, correct?
This Thursday, I'm speaking to the Jay Richardson Foundation. Jay Richardson played football for Ohio State, and he played for the Oakland Raiders. So his mama, it's weird, you give me props. Mario Armstrong gives me props. Well, his mom, Deborah Johnson, we were on a phone call, and we know each other. And I just happened to say, hey, Deborah, if you ever need a speaker in a pinch, man, she made my heart. She almost started crying. She's like, are you kidding me, Greg? You're going to come speak to my son's or I said, come on, Deborah. We know each other. We know each other. But she was so amazed that I'll come and speak to her conference. But I'm just amazed that she will let me come speak there. So Thursday, I'm the keynote opener at 8:30 in the morning. Man, I gotta mention my man Ali. I got to, because all those kids there, those 12th graders getting ready to go to college and stuff, they're going to think they have heart. And I'm going to tell them different. You don't have heart. Right. You don't. Because a lot of these kids, they think they're sweet, right? They ain't sweet. They're only sweet in their own little community with their two or three friends and tell them, you sweet, Dr. Bob. Big Dreamer, you sweet. But everyone else like, no, you ain't sweet. Ali was one of those people that he told you, but he also backed it up.
Yes.
So yes, I will be speaking Thursday a lot about Ali. I mean, how could you not, man? The heart kept going 30 minutes after everything shut down. That shows you, man, our brother didn't want to quit. He didn't want to quit.
No.
That's amazing. And that's why when he got his jaw broke by Joe Frazier, he got up. He got up with a broken jaw. Or George Foreman, when George broke his jaw, he got up. How many people get their jaw broken, get up? Not many.
No.
Most people just get smacked and they're down on the floor. So Ali, what a phenomenal human being. I don't even talk about him as boxing, really. I talk to him about an amazing human being. There's those people, and then when you talk, the Floyd Mayweathers and stuff like that, if you look when Mayweather fought, who did he just fight? What's his name?
I don't keep a track of these things.
The guy who's Christian from Mexico. Ali had him at his house. He didn't have Mayweather at his house. He had the Mexican. Gosh, you can't think of his name, but Ali had him at his house. They spent a couple of days together. I cannot think of his name, but he just they just fought. Probably it was like for $100 million or something like that, maybe even more money than that. I cannot think of his name. But Ali, they were together. Everyone said, well, why isn't Ali with Floyd? Because Ali is a man of integrity. He don't care who you are. If you do the right thing, he's going to be with you. Hey, he didn't care about your skin color. Listen, we look alike, right? But that doesn't mean we have the same values.
Yeah,
the same values. So that's what I love about Ali. He didn't care if you were a boxer or if you were a swimmer, if you were black or you were white. If you had integrity, if you had character, you and Ali was in your corner. Nice. And that's what I loved about Ali, man. And that's the way I try to be in my life. I don't care who you are, what type of food you eat, what color you are. If I like your integrity, your values, I'm going to hang with you. And that's what people need to learn right now. That's what I'm talking about when I speak to these kids Thursday. You got to see who you're surrounded by. Do you have an Ali in your corner? Or do you have a Mayweather?
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah. Do you have an Ali or do you have a Mayweather? Mayweather has all the fans when he's on top. Let's see him lose all of his money and see how many people's around him. Let's see that. Ali would never go around burning $100,000 in $100 bills. He would give it to people. He would
you
he
got
would
it.
help people.
You got it.
So you talk about the comparison of those two. They say Mayweather ain't even close to being the greatest. Not even close to being. He didn't fight people like George Foreman, Joe Frazier. Who's the other guy? Larry Holmes. He didn't fight those people.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's interesting, especially with a George Foreman. And I saw an interview done a little while back on 60 Minutes. He said the best thing that happened in his life was Muhammad Ali. Yeah. You know, even after he lost that fight, he said him and Muhammad became such good friends.
Exactly. You know? Exactly.
It was, and he said it was just love. Hey, Durham Skywriter, you want to come on and share any thoughts you have about Muhammad Ali? I don't know if you've had the opportunity, but would love to get any perspective you have. I'm going to probably just go for another about 15 minutes or so. Big Dreamer's been able to come on and share some thoughts. Earlier on, we had Brother Ray's podcast on. So I just thought maybe just do a few more minutes. And Ali was love and justice. I think those are the two things I really remember about him. Love and justice. But I can't think of any particular. Okay, no problem. Love and justice. Really and truly. I just.
If you didn't like Muhammad Ali, you were not a human being.
Wow.
You were not a human being. You were a Ted Bundy, no conscience, wearing human being. That's what you were.
Oh my. Well, you know what? I think he broke so many barriers.
Yes, he did. And he spoke what was right. That's what I love about him. He stood up. Yeah. He said, I don't care. I don't care. Throw me in jail. Throw me in jail. Do what you have to do. But I'm going to stand for my rights. I'm going to stand for my integrity, my character. Man, that's
Let me ask Big Dreamer, do you think in our time we'll see someone of that magnitude?
You know, I don't think we will. You know why? Because I think it's everything's about the bling. Everything's about the money. And you know me, I love money because I love helping people. You know, that's the whole reason George Foreman never came back to box for money. He came back because his church needed money. That's the only reason. And look, what I say all the time, Dr. Vibe, when I speak, want to make money, make an impact. Make an impact on the world. That's all I did was in my life is make an impact on the world. Now the world is making an impact on me. That's what Ali did. Most people now are kind of in that they Mayweather, you know. Let me show people I can burn $100,000 on live video. Let me show you how I can spend $600,000 on a bottle of champagne. Yeah, see that's what the world. There are a lot of people like Steph Curry, you know, who can be a man and kiss his wife and daughter 1,000 times before or after, whether he wins or lose. But Ali, man, if there's some out there. If they're there, we ain't seen them yet. There's a couple people, but man, for what he did for humankind and to stand up, how many people would be willing? I don't know if I could have done that if I was him. Stand up to the world. Well,
this is the thing. Regardless of color, how many people would have done what he did?
Listen. Didn't one of Jesus' own dudes say, "I'll never betray you"? His name was what? His name is Peter. I would never be. I would never say I don't know you. And what did Jesus say? You're going to say it 3 times, brother. You're going to say it 3 times that you don't know who I am. So yeah, he did it. So listen. I do it now at 50 years old. You know, I tell someone to go jump in a lake if they want me to wear a suit to speak, but I couldn't have done it 10 years ago. I couldn't. I couldn't have done it. And that's what I love about Ali. He was a man of principles. Didn't care who you were. Didn't care who you were, you know, and you know, even when he talked about, you know, his brother Malcolm, you know, when he kind of did Malcolm wrong, you know, he said that hurt him. That hurt him because he was wrong what he said to Malcolm. You know, not too many people will say that, you know. Not too many people will say I was wrong and I have to live that the rest of my life.
True. Long-time person I've not seen for a while, Dr. William Clark. How are you? Have not seen you for a while. If you definitely want to come on and share any thoughts you have about Muhammad Ali, I'm going for about 10 more minutes and I'm going to shut it down for the evening. But yeah, Muhammad was
Pacquiao. Pacquiao. That's who it is. Pacquiao.
Manny
Manny. That's who Ali had at his house, and people criticized him. Said, "Why don't you got Mayweather?" He said, "Because the values don't line up. The values don't." Me and Pacquiao. Me being a Muslim, Pacquiao being a Christian, we have our values line up. Mayweather didn't. That's what I loved about Ali.
Yeah, man of principle, man, and also too, he loved kids. He loved young kids. He loved, we had someone on previously about Big Brother Ray, and he actually told us about an event that he was at the White House when Bill Clinton was in his time in the White House, and Muhammad Ali was there, Hank Aaron was there. And it was very interesting. And paraphrasing what Big Brother Ray was saying about this event, when Clinton came up and greeted Hank Aaron, you could tell it was really tight, buddy, etc. But when he approached Ali, the tables were turned. The respect Bill Clinton gave to Muhammad Ali.
Oh, he was just.
It's like, the person in the room was not Bill Clinton at that time. It was Muhammad Ali.
That's what I mean, man. He changed the world. He changed the world. If we can just have, 100 of Muhammad Ali's in the country. Can you imagine if we had people can you imagine if we had a president of the United States that thought like he did?
Oh gosh.
That thought like, listen, someone could ask Ali, what is your party? He'd say, love is my party. Love is my party.
You know what? Love would be his party. And I think he'd also say something to the effect that I'm not right wing, I'm not left wing, I'm both
That's
wings.
right. Yeah. That's what he would say. And that's what people don't understand. We need a politician like him. That's what we need. We need world leaders all around the world who thought like him, who had a love for people like him.
Love.
I mean, man, you just watch kids, you watch adults whenever they see. Listen, I've heard white people, call every black man a name, but when they saw Muhammad Ali,
that's different.
Yes, that's right. He did something to everybody. That's what's amazing. And I hope to God that we do see people like Ali again. I really do, because it gives us hope. It gives us hope.
Well, I just hope and pray that each one of us takes a little bit of what Muhammad Ali had in him and pushes it out.
Yes.
Because we may not get 100 Muhammad Alis, but if each one of us pushes 1% of Muhammad Ali out, we'll be a better place.
I believe we all have something that we, like I said, he taught me about love, compassion, about being humble, being humble. But if it comes to push the shove, right? We can do it. We can do it at the last resort, but we spread love first. And that's what I love about when I go speak to kids, That's what I love. Listen, I got tons of emails just in the last 30 minutes from where, me and E.T. were spending time together. People say, hey, Big Dreamer, man, thank you for talking with me. Wow, you and E.T. were phenomenal, man. Thank you guys for talking. That's what I love. That's what I love. Listen, I tell people, Dr. Bob, I ain't never touched alcohol or drugs or anything. That's my high. That's my high when someone come up to me and say thank you. I just talked to a lady. She has an autistic son. I met her on Periscope, and she reached out to me, Big Dreamer, please, how do I get attention? She sent me a nice big email. Thank you very much for helping my son with autism. I can't believe you told me to call the morning shows. I get high off that. And I can't imagine what Ali went through.
Well, and it's interesting. I think that was he knew this, that when he did appearances, he gave everybody attention. Yes. He didn't leave anyone. Like I was watching this 60 Minutes story from a few years ago. He was getting still 300 letters a day.
Exactly.
And he would respond to each one of them.
You know what? Yes.
No one to be left out. No one to be left out.
People are surprised because when they see Eric, Eric hugs every man, woman that he meets. Every man, every woman that Eric Thomas sees, he hugs and he shakes their hands. He don't care if you're Shaquille O'Neal. He'll just grab you and hug you. And that's the way I do too. And I think we both learned that a lot of that from people like Muhammad Ali. To be humble. When someone comes to me and says, "Dude, I can't believe you spent time with me." Why not? Why not? That's what we're here for, is to help elevate each other. And if we can't elevate each other, and like I said, that's what's wrong with the world, especially in America. Everyone wants to elevate themselves, but very few want to elevate others. And Muhammad Ali elevated me. He elevated me, this 13 or 15 kid who thought everyone said he couldn't do anything. But I saw this man who stood up to the world. I saw this man to stand up to the bullies, and he won. And he won. That let me know, okay, if he can come from Kentucky, I can come from Columbus, Ohio, and in the same bad environment. That if he can make it, I can make it. And man, it's heart wrenching. It's heart wrenching, but I hope we do see someone like him come up. I do.
Yeah, the world will only be a better place. And like I said to people, I haven't said people, please check out the stuff on YouTube. That's when using YouTube is a phenomenal resource. When you don't know about someone like this, and as Big Dreamer saying, don't just watch the fights. Those are Big Dreamer and I say, yeah, it's all great, the fights, but listen to some of his speeches.
That's right.
Listen to him speak with people. And as I was saying earlier, check out how articulate he was in his 20s. 20 years old. You've got to realize, here is a man, and I said it earlier and I'll say it again. He not only was fighting in the ring, but he was fighting the American government.
Yes, hard. That's hard.
At 20 years old, and you listen to how he is speaking.
Oh, can you imagine if the government came after you and me right now, and we're sitting before them? If we're sitting before, I don't know if I could be as strong as him.
No.
Yes. When he said, lock me up right now. I don't care. Not too many people would do that, man. And then he still loved the word. He still loved America after that. He still loved America. He was our Nelson Mandela. He was our Nelson.
That's an interesting question.
He was America's Nelson Mandela. He was. He stood up for his beliefs. He stood up and didn't care what America would do to him. He stood up. So I always call him our Nelson Mandela. And think about it. People all the time, they're saying, I have this on my cards I'm giving out to the Jay Richardson Foundation Thursday. And it's going to say, I am, and what you put after this will dictate your life. And that comes from Ali. I am the greatest, or I am nothing. Whatever you put after those two words, that will tell you what your destiny is going to be. But yeah, I think he's our America's Nelson.
Big Dreamer, you know what? You gave me an idea. I think I'm going to put that up on Twitter and do a Twitter poll. Is Muhammad Ali America's Nelson Mandela?
Make sure you put Greg Walker, the Big Dreamer.
I'm gonna quote you on that. No, I'm going to quote you on that.
Thank you.
I'm going to quote. I think that is a very.
It just came to my head when I was thinking. I love Nelson Mandela, and he was in prison for 27 and a half years for standing for his rights. And I believe Ali would have went to prison for 27 and a half years.
And greatest is America's. Let me put this up. I'm going to put this as a poll. I think this is that's a very interesting statement.
I mean, some people might say, no, what he went through. No, he is America's Nelson Mandela, I believe.
Okay. I'm putting that up as a poll right now. I am going to put that up as a poll right now, and Big Dreamer is going to be the person quoted.
I'm somebody.
Of course.
I'm somebody. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest in any generation of my family. That's right. I done built a legacy.
True. So true. Legacy. I'm just creating this poll right now. Yes and no. And not sure. Okay, okay,
Let's get it go viral.
okay. How many days I'm gonna put this up for? I'm gonna put up for a week.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
You know, I'm going to mention that when I speak at the Jay Richardson Foundation Thursday. You know, he was America's Mandela.
Yep, the poll is up. I think this is going to be very interesting to see what people have to say on that, and I will keep you updated on the results.
Sweet, thank you. I think it's a great poll.
No,
He's a wonderful human being. That's what I say. I'm not even going to talk about boxing. You know, he's a spokesperson for Parkinson's disease, for loving every human being. He was just he was the anthem for love. He really was. He was our anthem for love. He was our poster man. He was our poster human being for love and understanding and accepting other people. Like I said, he spent time with Pacquiao before the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. You know, he didn't care that Pacquiao was a Christian, he was a Muslim. He didn't care that Mayweather was more his skin color than Pacquiao was. He knew that Pacquiao was a man who loved his family, a man who loved his God, and a man who stood for integrity and for values and had character. And when you have character, people will follow you. And that's why Ali followed Pacquiao. A wonderful man, a true treasure, an American treasure. You know, his face should go on be the fifth person on Mount Rushmore. You know, President Obama and Muhammad Ali. Ali should be on one of our dollar bills. So now let's get the poll going, brother. Let's see what people think about that. And I think we lost Dr. Vibe. So you guys are on now with Greg Walker, aka the Big Dreamer. Please follow me on my social media at Greg Inspires on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Everyone follow me on Facebook at Greg Inspires. Let's connect. Let's build a winning team. You know, Muhammad Ali had, you know, Angelo Dundee. He had famous all kinds of people around him that he's surrounded with, people who are better than him. That's the type of team. I want to build a Ali team, a team of phenomenal average skill, but phenomenal will people in your circle. That's what I surround myself with. That's what Dr. Vibe surrounds himself with. That's what we need. That's what we need in life. We need to build an Ali team around us. We need to have an Ali corner man for us. So when we get knocked down, we can get back up. Did you hear what I said? We need an Ali in our corner. So when we get knocked down, we can get back up.
I agree. No, I think I'd like to see every major city in the world have some sort of tribute to him. That would be so sweet. Like, have you ever, Big Dreamer, have you ever been to Louisville?
From. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law. Yeah, so I even thought I might even just travel down there. You know, it's only like 4 hours from where I'm at right now, and we might go down there Friday. Just you know, that's how much I love someone like that. You know, I'm so close.
Wow.
I'm so close. And, you know, one of my friends, his name is Butch Zubergren. He owns an Italian place there called Butch's Italian Cafe. He didn't have a dad, so he grew up watching Muhammad Ali. He had one of the largest Ali collections. He probably spent maybe 100 times with Muhammad Ali and his daughter, Layla. Man, I know he's hurting right now. I don't think there's anyone in the world that has more autographed memorabilia by Muhammad Ali, by him in front of Butch signing his stuff. My brother Butch has to be just like in pain right now.
Wow, that is.
You know, I think Muhammad Ali is kind of that person. You know, like if a kid's being bullied, you just know that Superman really wasn't Christopher Reeve, right? It was going to be Muhammad Ali coming down with the S on his chest, you know, just talking, just ranting and raving to the bully. That's how I looked up to Muhammad Ali. Like if someone was picking with me, one of my 8 brothers, I just imagine Muhammad Ali come down and say, it's okay. It's okay to take it from them. You will be the greatest one day. Come on, people calling you the big dreamer now, young man. You're getting picked on by your 8 brothers, other people. One day you're going to be the greatest just like I am. That's why I always picked Muhammad Ali. He was always in my corner. He was always in my corner.
True. Nice. Yeah, he's always in our corner, man.
Always. And that's what I'm going to tell some of the young kids when I speak Thursday, man. I'm going to say, listen, when you think you're down and out, just go watch some Muhammad Ali material. Just watch him. Just watch him and listen to him. Don't watch him really box. Just listen to him. Listen, he's the one who gave me one of my favorite quotes. He said, and a lot of people don't know this, he said, listen, we boxers, we only get the belt inside the ring. But we win that belt way before we step into the ring. And that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yes.
We win. He says, listen, you will win or lose when you're jogging at 2:30 in the morning. You will win or lose that belt when you got to spend 6 hours of jumping rope, hitting a heavy bag in the speed bag. It's one way before you get into the ring. They just give you the belt inside the ring. And that's what a lot of kids don't understand is the preparation gets you the belt. The preparation gets you it's the road work that gets you that belt. Now stepping into the ring, no.
It was interesting. Another gentleman last night, we were having a conversation about Muhammad Ali. He was saying, you look at back in the day, the heavy sweats that he wore, the training, the discipline, the focus, just overcoming odds. But could you, it would be so interesting, especially in his prime, his DNA makeup. Like, if I would have had the chance to sit with him, I said, Muhammad, where did you get the drive from? Where did you get the discipline from? Because those things are good inside and outside, and he had them in both arenas.
I heard him say, you know who Billy Crystal is? Yeah, he always did Muhammad Ali. They were best friends. And when who was it? When Howard Cosell died, people thought they hated each other. They were best friends. Billy Crystal said, I saw him when I think Johnny Carson was still on, or whoever it was, and he said, listen, me and Ali, we were at Howard's funeral, and Muhammad reached over to me and says, I bet he's up right now, up in heaven, and God saying, will this dude shut up? That's what he said, God saying, will this dude shut up? Yeah, he was, man.
My gosh.
What, how many books are going to come out about him? And now how much stuff is, like when Prince died, he wasn't allowed to tell about all the things he did good, like over 1,000 people in Oakland that had solar panels in their roof. They never knew that Prince paid for all that. College tuition that he wasn't allowed to tell as a 7-day Adventist that he paid for kids' college and stuff. Can you imagine what's going to come out about what Ali did? All the things that he didn't want people to know. How many schools did he build? I guarantee you, he probably not only made mosques, but he probably built churches too. Phenomenal man. And the way we keep someone like him alive is by keep telling the great stories. That's why I tell young kids, my nieces, when they lose someone, tell them keep their name alive by telling the great stories, the funny stories. All that. That's what keeps someone alive. When you don't speak about them, that's what kills them. It's not their flesh that dies. It's when people stop giving the memories that they gave. The flesh is in the ground.
True.
The memories are all out into the universe. It's in our head. That's what stays alive. That's what stays alive.
Can you imagine what that?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be open. I don't think it's going to be a private funeral.
No, I think it is an open funeral. I think, and I know that Billy Crystal and Bill Clinton are speaking at it. I think Ali
it could be bigger than what Elvis's funeral was. Remember how they showed that Elvis going down and all this? Because there could be dignitaries from all over the world coming. He touched everybody. Everybody loved Ali. Him and Michael. Everyone loved him all around the world. Him and Michael Jackson. People loved him. Old, young, black, white. Everybody loved him. So his funeral could be the biggest funeral in the world. Like I told you once before, Dr. Vibe, I don't care how many people come to my funeral. What I care about are the people who's wiping the tears out of their eyes.
How many?
And you watch. If he only had 20 people at his funeral, all 20 of them, including the dog that couldn't get in.
We cry.
You see the dog over there like wiping his eyes like this. That's what Muhammad will be remembered for, is that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to shut down our conversation. I'd like to say, Big Dreamer, thank you so much for coming in and always adding positive value and positive thought process. We got to chat offline because we haven't had our conversation I've wanted to have for a while yet.
You can follow me on Periscope for our daily inspiration. I haven't been doing it for a while because I've been speaking a lot, but I'm going to go back on doing Periscope. I'm going to do one next called Average is Easy. That's why most people do it. I'm going to do a bunch of great ones this week, but anywhere else you can find me at Greg Inspires. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at Greg Inspires, and then Periscope at The Big Dreamer.
Good stuff. Well, I've given my contact information, but I'll give it again. It's the Dr. Vibe Show is the DR VIBESHOW on the web. Twitter is at DR VIBESHOW. Instagram is the DR period VIBESHOW. Facebook is same thing. So many different platforms I can't keep up. So those are the main ones. But easiest thing is go to the website and it'll take you to everything. But I'd like to say blessings. You're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles and your solution for someone's problem. Keep the Ali legacy alive by living his legacy and living out his legacy. As the Big Dreamer said, it was all the foundation of love. So if you keep, I remember a few years ago, Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive, keep love alive, and hope will just grow and reality will grow. I'll leave on that. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And thanks for coming on the conversation. God bless.